Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Proline. It is conference tournament time in college basketball, one of the most fun times of the season for fans and for handicappers, too, because there's just a lot of different matchups that you can go through. If you enjoy handicapping, you can't find a more fun time of the year, in my opinion. We've got plenty to talk about, obviously, on today's show, and I'm going to do it with Jim Feist and with John Creighton. I'm Dave Cokin. It's good to have you guys with us. Before we get rolling on the subject matter at hand, let's talk about some special offers we've got going this weekend. John, let's start with you, and what's shaking with Mr. Vegas? I know you got a gigantic play going on Saturday.
That's right. It's tied into a total, Mr. Vegas, college tourney total of the year. You can get 7 days worth of plays for $15. It's going to include that monster total from Mr. Vegas, 1-866-896-1627.
All right. Well, I've enjoyed a good season in college basketball. I'll just leave it at that. I mean, it's been a very good year, particularly on the big plays that we promoted here. Game of the year was a winner. The mismatch of the year was a winner. Underdog of the year was a blowout winner. And overall, it's just been tremendous. So if you want to get in on this, this is actually from a value basis. I think it might be the best offer I've put on here in years. $49 is the cost. And technically, you're signing up for my Major League Baseball early bird package, which gets you $49, gets you all of my April baseball action plays right through April 30th for $49. But you're getting a lot more than that because you're also getting my March Madness college basketball tournament package included at $0. Yeah, that's every action play I've got from now right through the NCAA tournament final game. It also includes the smaller tournaments and the rest of the conference tournaments. So you're getting all that, baseball and basketball, from now through April 30th for $49. That's, what, half a buck a day? It's an extraordinary offer. Take advantage of it by calling 1-866-896-1629. That's 1-866-896-1629. Jim, another real good Saturday for you. And, it's been like clockwork this year. Just a real nice, steady pace all season long.
Well, thanks, Dave. It was nice to win on Saturday. I had two mediocre Saturdays, the two previous ones. But it seems like 6 days a week I've been doing really well. Well, last week was a little bit different. We won mostly every day. And we got the same thing going on this week. We're positive. I mean, last night, even in the NBA, we have a game of the month last night with the Spurs. They beat the Bulls. We're 27-15 NBA game of the month runs going right now. Here's what we got: the NBA and college through April 7th for $49. Now, I heard your package, Dave, and that's awesome. People should do it. It's for $98. They can get all your plays and my plays, and we just are doing great, and that's what they should do. They should call a number, 1-866-841-1655. You get all my plays through April 7th, NBA and college, for $49. And like Dave said, we're both on hot streaks, and I think you should buy both packages.
All right. We will tell you about something you don't have to buy in a little while. But before we get into that, let's get to the Twitter question of the week. This is where you guys can get involved. You send us a question at Twitter or via Facebook. Twitter, you follow JimFeistSports at Twitter and friend us on Facebook at Proline TV. And if we choose your question, you'll be put in a drawing to win $100 worth of plays from a handicapper of your choice. This is a simple question. Any tourney wagering tips? All right, John. Any tourney wagering tips? It's a simple question. It's not a real simple answer, though.
Sure. I like to look at totals, and for me, tourney time means under. What I do is I look for teams that might be in a good spot to go under the total, either from coaching philosophy or playing the night before with a lack of depth, because there are two new variables that are introduced in tournament time from the regular season. First of all, you can have coaches who are demanding tough defense on every possession. You don't always see that during the regular season. You'll see coaches that empty the bench at times if they're up by 20, knowing he's got a game in 2 days, for example, and even the players who come in can think, I'm going to have some fun and try and score, and I'll be more lax on defense. The coach might let that slip during the regular season. But tournament play is different. You got much more close games, and you have games that have much more meaning. You win, you're out of the tournament, and in a couple of weeks, you don't win and your season is over. So you can have coaches who demand tough defense for the entire game, which is very different from the regular season. The other variable will be 3 games in 3 nights. The teams have the depth to run and gun like they did during the regular season. So you have more instances that I see where teams can slow it down and focus on defense. So I like to look at unders more this time of the year. One example would be Duke 2 years ago in the ACC tourney. Run and gun team loves to bomb away from 3-pointers. First game was against Virginia Tech, 60-56 final, and the next game they lost to Florida State, 62-59, way under their average for the season, Dave.
Yeah, I can't give any real wagering tips because what I do at this time of year is almost all math oriented. It's not power ratings or anything like that because if you're going on power ratings, you're going to come up with the same numbers basically as the odds maker does. Everybody's power ratings are pretty close to the same at this point. But metric ratings are a different story altogether, and that's where I think you can derive some value. I'm not going to say exactly what it is that I do, but I have a formula that I use at this time of year, and I basically stick with that and leave my opinion out of it. And the reason for that is it works, okay? It just has worked over the years. It doesn't win every night. I wish it did. But I'll tell you, one thing I've noticed is that the games I lose are real close, okay? It's a basket or 2 either way, whereas a lot of the winners are really easy. So, that's the way it's going to go. And that's actually ideally what you're looking for as a handicapper is the games that aren't close, you want to win those, and then hopefully you go 50% of the coin flip games because there are going to be coin flips, and all you want to do is not get killed on those. Just win half of them, and then your own handicapping takes care of the rest of the games, and you end up with a nice profit. So that's what works for me. As far as tips, I'll give you one, and it's again not going to work all the time, but I will look for this closely lined games. In the pick 'em to like -3 either way neighborhood, where the public's completely overloaded on one side, and there are several sites now that you can go to see what the ticket count is and what the dollar count is on games. And what I'm looking for ideally, in terms of fading the public, if you will, is a game where I've got more than 70% on one side, but it's a closely lined game. I mean, if it's a game where the number's 9 or something like that, I don't think it works as well as, to me, games that are toss-ups going in, where everybody thinks the same guy's going to win, that's what I want to get on the house side instead. So it's going to take some research. None of this stuff is, you can't just look at the schedule and go, I'll take that and that and that. But if you've got the time to do the research, you can come up with some edges like that. Jim, you got anything that you kind of like to do at this time of year?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say John and yourself both had very excellent tips, and they both make a lot of sense, and we do know that they work. I like to ride hot teams, fade cold teams, but when you get into the tournament, you're talking about conference tournaments is one thing, and then the NCAA is a whole different issue. When you're inside the conference, you're playing all the same teams, all the same caliber. You've been playing them. You understand what that's all about, and you're used to each other, and sometimes you've played each other a couple times. So you don't have the issue and the difficulty of trying to judge how strong this conference is versus the rest of the conferences out there. For example, this year we have a big issue coming in with Wichita State. They played a reasonably soft conference, and they are undefeated. I think they're 33 or 34-0 or something like that, whatever it is. So nobody really knows how good this team is. So when they start playing against the Kansases and the UCLAs and the Arizonas and Dukes and Virginias and stuff like that, we're going to have a big issue as to how strong this team is compared to these other teams who have played arguably tougher schedules. So, and this is the same thing that happens in all sports. It happens in football, but this is where there's a bit of a guessing game going on, and your metrics help a lot with that, where you're talking about offensive rebounding, defensive points allowed, 2-point defense, things like that, which happens to be a very big thing with me. So that's one of the issues when you don't have that in the conference tournaments, but you do have it in the NCAA, NIT, CIT, CBI. You have that because you're playing conference against different conferences, so you have that issue. Strength of schedule, that's what that comes down to. Defenses usually outlast offenses, and the reason for that is they're playing a lot of games in a very few days, and when the legs get tired, the jump shots don't go in. And defenses, especially two-point defense, is critical. And, of course, foul shooting is critical as well, especially if you plan on playing a favorite. Because generally speaking, at the end of the game, the favorite will generally be ahead, and they're going to get fouled. And if they're not hitting their foul shots, the underdog has a good chance to come back and make some hay with backdoor covers and possibly even upsets. There's a lot of things to look at. Fading public teams, going against teams, especially early in tournaments when these teams have a little bit of nervousness going on. The underdog has nothing to lose. They're already behind the eight ball, so they got nothing to lose. They can toss it up. They can play wild. They can play ferocious defense. And so I look for defensive clubs, especially when clubs start to get a little tired. There's a lot of factors to look at, but that's just some of the things I do look at.